Have you ever felt like someone in your life might be taking advantage of you, but you just can't put your finger on it? Today, we're uncovering the 7 subtle signs that you might be being used, all through the lens of Stoicism. Understanding these signs can empower you to reclaim your peace and set healthy boundaries. Stay tuned to find out if you're being used and how to handle it like a true Stoic. But before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Number 1. Excessive demands. Excessive demands occur when someone constantly asks for more of your time, energy, or resources than is reasonable or fair. This behavior is a clear sign of being used, as it often reflects a lack of respect for your boundaries and well-being. People who make excessive demands typically prioritize their own needs over yours, expecting you to accommodate them without considering the impact on your life. One of the main characteristics of excessive demands is their relentless nature. For instance, a colleague might continually ask you to cover their shifts. A friend might expect you to always be available to listen to their problems, or a family member might frequently request financial assistance. These demands can quickly become overwhelming, leaving you feeling drained and unappreciated. From a Stoic perspective, managing excessive demands involves recognizing the importance of balance and setting firm boundaries. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control and to maintain our inner tranquility. When faced with excessive demands, it's crucial to remember that you have the right to say no and prioritize your own needs. To handle excessive demands effectively, start by evaluating the situation objectively. Consider whether the requests are reasonable and whether fulfilling them aligns with your values and capabilities. If the demands are excessive, communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. For example, you might say, "I understand you need help, but I can't assist you this time. I have other commitments that I need to attend to." It's also helpful to practice self-care and self-awareness. Recognize your limits and be mindful of your physical and emotional well-being. Overextending yourself to meet others' demands can lead to burnout and resentment, which ultimately harms both you and your relationships. By setting boundaries and standing firm in your decisions, you demonstrate self-respect and encourage others to respect you as well. It's important to remember that saying no to excessive demands is not selfish. It's a necessary step to maintain your health and balance. Embracing Stoic principles can help you navigate these situations with calmness and clarity, ensuring that you remain true to yourself while managing external pressures. Number 2. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping is a manipulative tactic that people use to control or influence your actions by making you feel guilty. It's a subtle and often insidious way of exerting power over you, and it can be difficult to recognize, especially if you are naturally empathetic or conscientious. When someone guilt trips you, they play on your sense of responsibility and kindness. They may remind you of past favors, highlight sacrifices they've made for you, or imply that you're a bad person for not doing what they want. This manipulative behavior is designed to make you feel obligated to comply with their demands, even when it goes against your own best interests or values. A common example of guilt tripping is when a friend frequently says things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me," or "I guess I just care more about this relationship than you do." These statements are loaded with emotional weight, making you feel guilty for not meeting their expectations. In Stoicism, guilt tripping is recognized as an external influence that disrupts your inner peace and rational judgment. The Stoic response to guilt tripping involves maintaining emotional equanimity and not letting others' manipulative tactics affect your sense of self or your decisions. A Stoic would remind themselves that they are only responsible for their own actions and not the emotional reactions of others. To counteract guilt tripping, it's essential to set clear boundaries and communicate assertively. Acknowledge the other person's feelings without taking responsibility for them. For instance, you can say, "I understand that you're upset, but I have to make decisions that are right for me." This approach allows you to remain compassionate while standing firm in your boundaries. It's also crucial to reflect on your own values and priorities. By doing so, you can make decisions based on what is truly important to you, rather than being swayed by guilt or obligation. Practicing self-awareness and self-compassion will help you stay grounded and resilient in the face of manipulative tactics like guilt tripping. Recognizing and addressing guilt tripping is a vital step in maintaining healthy relationships and preserving your emotional well-being. By understanding this tactic and responding with Stoic principles, you can protect your peace and make choices that align with your true self. Number 3, lack of appreciation. Lack of appreciation is a common sign that you are being used by someone. When your efforts, time, and contributions go unacknowledged, it can be deeply disheartening and a clear indicator of being undervalued. This lack of recognition often means that the other person takes you for granted, expecting your help and support without offering gratitude or reciprocation. One way lack of appreciation manifests is through constant expectations without acknowledgement. For instance, if you consistently help a friend with their problems, but they never thank you or return the favor, it's a sign that they may be using you. Similarly, in a work environment, if your contributions are overlooked or credited to others, it reflects a lack of respect and recognition for your efforts. Stoicism teaches us to understand the difference between what we can control and what we cannot. We cannot control how others perceive or appreciate us, but we can control our response to this lack of appreciation. Instead of seeking validation from others, Stoicism encourages us to find contentment and fulfillment within ourselves. To manage the emotional impact of a lack of appreciation, it's crucial to shift your focus from external validation to internal validation. Remind yourself of the value of your actions and the integrity with which you perform them. Understand that your worth is not determined by others' recognition, but by your own standards and values. Practicing self-compassion is also essential. Acknowledge your efforts and give yourself credit for the good you do. This internal affirmation can help mitigate the negative feelings that arise from being unappreciated by others. Setting boundaries is another effective strategy. If you notice a pattern of lack of appreciation, communicate your feelings clearly and assertively. For example, you might say, "I've noticed that my contributions often go unacknowledged. I would appreciate it if my efforts were recognized." If the behavior doesn't change, consider distancing yourself from those who consistently undervalue you. By embracing Stoic principles, you can maintain your sense of self-worth and peace of mind, regardless of external appreciation. Recognize your intrinsic value, set healthy boundaries, and seek fulfillment from within. This approach not only protects your emotional well-being, but also empowers you to build more respectful and appreciative relationships. Number 4, unbalanced relationships. Unbalanced relationships are those in which the effort, support, and investment are not equally shared between the parties involved. These relationships often leave one person feeling overburdened and unappreciated, while the other person continues to take without giving back. This imbalance can manifest in various forms, whether emotional, financial, or practical. In an unbalanced relationship, one person may find themselves constantly giving while the other only takes. For example, you might always be the one to initiate contact, plan activities, or provide emotional support, while the other person rarely reciprocates. Over time, this can lead to feelings of resentment, exhaustion, and a sense of being used. From a Stoic perspective, unbalanced relationships disrupt the harmony and tranquility that are central to living a virtuous life. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate relationships based on mutual respect and equality. When we find ourselves in unbalanced relationships, it is important to recognize the imbalance and take steps to address it. First, assess the relationship objectively. Consider the contributions you make and compare them to what you receive in return. Reflect on whether the relationship aligns with your values and whether it supports your well-being. If the imbalance is significant, it's time to take action. Communicating your feelings is crucial. Express your concerns calmly and assertively. For instance, you might say, "I've noticed that I often initiate our conversations and plans. It would mean a lot to me if we could make this more balanced." This approach encourages open dialogue and gives the other person an opportunity to understand your perspective and adjust their behavior. Setting boundaries is also vital in addressing unbalanced relationships. Define what is acceptable to you and what isn't, and be prepared to enforce these boundaries if necessary. For example, if you find that your friend always relies on you for emotional support but is never there when you need them, it might be time to limit the amount of support you provide. Ultimately, it's important to prioritize your well-being and ensure that your relationships are reciprocal and respectful. By embracing Stoic principles, you can navigate unbalanced relationships with clarity and confidence, fostering connections that are healthy and mutually fulfilling. Before we move on, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a wisdom-filled update. Number 5. Constant need for favor. A constant need for favor is a clear indicator that someone may be using you. When someone frequently asks for help or favors without considering your needs or reciprocating, it suggests an imbalance in the relationship. This behavior often stems from a sense of entitlement or a lack of consideration for your time and resources. Individuals who exhibit a constant need for favor tend to treat you as a means to an end. They reach out only when they need something, whether it's your time, skills, money, or other resources. This can be emotionally and physically draining, leaving you feeling undervalued and exploited. In the context of Stoicism, dealing with a constant need for favor involves maintaining your inner tranquility and setting clear boundaries. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, including how we respond to others' demands. To manage the constant need for favor, it's essential to first recognize and acknowledge the pattern. Reflect on your interactions with the person and identify if they only contact you when they need something. This self-awareness is the first step towards addressing the issue. Once you've identified the pattern, it's important to set boundaries. Communicate your limits clearly and assertively. For example, you might say, "I understand that you need help, but I have other commitments that I need to focus on right now." This not only asserts your boundaries, but also encourages the other person to respect your time and resources. It's also crucial to practice self-care and prioritize your own needs. Don't feel obligated to say yes to every request. Evaluate each favor on its own merit and consider whether fulfilling it aligns with your values and capabilities. Remember, it's okay to decline requests that overextend you or compromise your well-being. Additionally, fostering a sense of self-worth independent of others' validation can help you resist the pressure to comply with constant demands. A Stoic mindset encourages you to find contentment within yourself rather than seeking approval or acceptance through acts of service. By recognizing the constant need for favor and responding with firm boundaries and self-respect, you can protect your peace and maintain healthy, balanced relationships. Embracing Stoic principles empowers you to manage these situations with clarity and confidence, ensuring that your generosity is not taken for granted. Number 6. Lack of reciprocity. Lack of reciprocity in a relationship is a strong indicator that you might be being used. Reciprocity involves a mutual exchange of support, effort, and care. When one person is always giving and the other is always taking, it creates an imbalance that can lead to feelings of frustration and resentment. In relationships lacking reciprocity, you might find yourself always being the one to reach out, make plans, or offer help, while the other person rarely, if ever, does the same for you. This one-sided dynamic can be emotionally draining and leave you feeling unappreciated and exploited. From a Stoic perspective, relationships should be based on mutual respect and balanced effort. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, including our actions and reactions, rather than trying to change others. Recognizing a lack of reciprocity is the first step towards addressing this imbalance. To manage a lack of reciprocity, start by evaluating the relationship objectively. Reflect on the dynamics and identify whether there is a pattern of you giving more than you receive. This self-awareness is crucial in understanding the nature of the relationship. Communicating your feelings is an important next step. Approach the conversation calmly and assertively. You might say something like, "I've noticed that I often initiate our plans and offer support, but it's not always reciprocated. I value our relationship and would appreciate more balance." This opens a dialogue and allows the other person to understand your perspective and potentially change their behavior. Setting boundaries is also essential. Define what is acceptable for you and what isn't, and be prepared to enforce these boundaries if necessary. For example, if you find yourself constantly doing favors without any return, it's okay to start saying no or setting limits on how much you are willing to do. It's important to prioritize relationships that are balanced and reciprocal. Focus on connections where both parties give and receive equally, as these are the relationships that will be most fulfilling and sustainable. By embracing Stoic principles, you can navigate relationships with a clear sense of self-worth and maintain your peace of mind. Recognize your value, communicate your needs, and ensure that your relationships are based on mutual respect and reciprocity. Number 7. Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is a covert and often harmful tactic used by some individuals to control or influence others. It involves exploiting someone's emotions to achieve personal goals, often at the expense of the manipulated person's well-being. Recognizing emotional manipulation is crucial for maintaining healthy relationships and protecting your mental health. Manipulators use various strategies to exert control. They might play the victim, creating a sense of guilt or obligation in you. For example, they might say, "I don't know what I would do without you," or, "After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me." These statements are designed to make you feel guilty and compliant. Another common tactic is gaslighting, where the manipulator makes you doubt your perceptions and reality. They might dismiss your feelings by saying, "You're overreacting," or "You're too sensitive." This undermines your confidence and makes you more reliant on their version of events. From a Stoic perspective, emotional manipulation disrupts your inner peace and rational thinking. Stoicism teaches us to remain calm and composed, focusing on what we can control, our reactions and decisions. When faced with emotional manipulation, it is essential to stay grounded and not let the manipulator's tactics influence your sense of self or your choices. To counteract emotional manipulation, start by recognizing the signs. Pay attention to how you feel during interactions with the person. Do you often feel guilty, anxious, or confused? These emotions can be indicators of manipulation. Once you recognize manipulation, set clear boundaries. Communicate your feelings assertively, without aggression. For instance, you might say, "I feel uncomfortable when you dismiss my feelings. I need you to respect my perspective. This approach helps you assert your boundaries while maintaining your composure. It's also vital to seek support from trusted friends or a professional therapist. Talking about your experiences can provide clarity and validation, helping you stay resilient against manipulation. Remember, your emotions are valid, and you have the right to be treated with respect. By embracing Stoic principles, you can navigate emotional manipulation with strength and clarity. Protect your inner peace by recognizing manipulative tactics, setting firm boundaries, and seeking supportive relationships. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward protecting your peace and living in alignment with Stoic principles. Remember, it's important to set boundaries, prioritize your well-being, and maintain relationships that are balanced and respectful. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your support means a lot and helps us continue to bring you valuable content. Feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay strong and stay stoic.